Welcome to the Beechjet, runway 23 at Sanderson. We'll be starting the ILS approach lesson. We're going to use the ILS today, runway 17 at Olympia. That's 111.9er on the frequency. Runway 17 is 170 degrees inbound. We're going to take off and make a quick 18-mile trip over to Olympia to demonstrate for you, preparing and setting up to intercept an ILS. First things first, once again, make sure you have 111.9er in your nav1. Make sure that you have the CDI, aiming approximately 170 degrees. Also make sure that VOR2 is locked on your RMI to 113.4 as shown. That's Olympia VOR, that'll help you get oriented. In this case, since you're in the jet, use your GPS unit for Olympia. Okay, we're all set for takeoff, systems a go. Brief outside view showing the nasty weather we have. We have light rain falling and low visibility. Turn on my landing lights and we're ready for takeoff. Brakes are released. We're going to follow runway heading and then start a gradual climbing turn to the east after departure. Okay, gradually add full power and 100% power. We've got our anti-icers on and our ignition on, so we're getting about 96% thrust. We'll hold her down till about 110 knots and rotate. And positive rate of climb and gear coming out. Just cleared the runway below us. Into the rain we go. Okay, we'll start to trim down a bit. About 1,000 feet above the ground now, so I'm going to bring my power back just a touch. Noise abatement climb, somewhere between 85 and 90% thrust. Let our speed build up here through 160. We're only going to 3,000 feet, so we don't have to go up like a rocket. And we're in the rain, as you can see, and in the clouds. Start a left turn now, eastbound, towards Olympia. Speed up to 180, we'll cruise at about 200. We're not going too far. We're not going to accelerate too much either. An IFR scan going here, and definitely IFR today. Rolling out on an easterly course and at an altitude of 3,000 feet. Speed is 200. Just give myself a little bit more space on the approach, and I'll turn to a heading of 60 degrees. And I'll explain what I'm doing. I'm going to be making a right turn onto the final. Right now, if you look at your RMI, Olympia is showing about 120 degrees. That's on the RMI. The Olympia VORTAC is at the airport, so that's close enough for us to know if we're getting close to intercepting the 170 inbound heading. Now, as that RMI needle head moves towards 170, we'll want to start to make a right turn to intercept the localizer. This is what air traffic control will be doing for you, or should you want to do it on your own, this is how you would do it. Approximately 150 degrees inbound, just take about a 30-degree cut to the right, just to get yourself a little bit better angle. Note we're only 15 miles out, so things will happen rather quickly. Also in the jet, my speed should stay under 200, I still have my landing lights out and on. Now we're going to be making a right turn. Once again very soon, as we can see now, the head of the needle is showing about 130 degrees to Olympia. Let's wait till it gets near 170, that'll give you a little bit of advanced warning as to how things are going to pan out. Look at our around for a second. We're definitely entrenched in clouds. See some clouds shooting by the windows. It's still raining. Okay, we're getting closer. I'm going to descend to 2,500 feet. Initial altitude descent before the localizer descent altitude, which will occur soon. That'll be about 2,000 feet with the minimums for that. I'll give myself 1 degree flap. I'll start to take a right turn cut now, just a bit to prepare myself for the final turn. I've only got 10 degrees to go until intercepting the localizer bar. It's only 160 degrees to Olympia right now, so things are coming in quite quickly. Once we are on the localizer, we can descend to 2,000 feet. This looks like a good intercept angle now, and we're getting very close to the final intercept. To get that final intercept, we'll descend, and we should start to see the glide slope as we intercept the localizer. At 165 degrees, so we're almost in there. We're 11 miles out, we're at a good altitude, 2,300 feet above the ground. .68 degrees on the GPS shows the beam should start to come in very, very soon now. Looks like our localizer is alive. Got a glide slope indication appearing on the artificial horizon. My heading of about 120 to intercept the localizer. And it's starting to move in towards me a bit. Once you get within the inner circle of the localizer deviation bars, as it gets in towards the center line as it's approaching now, you can call yourself established, turn inbound, start your descent to 2,000 feet. Some approach ILSs may have a different initial altitude. I use a generic altitude of 2,000 here. You shouldn't have to worry about glide slope following it down until you are at the outer marker. For some unbeknownst reason, I've just experienced an engine failure. I'm going to deal with that by firing up the engines again rapidly as we can, and hopefully continuing the approach, but we may have to do a missed approach here if we should sink too low. Not sure quite why we had an engine failure. In an emergency like this, we would handle it as efficiently as possible. Engines are firing up again. Maintain altitude as best I can here. Put down my gear and my second notch of flaps and try to continue the approach here. 5 miles out, and I want to put myself back on the glide slope. This is purely for training purposes. Should you experience an engine failure, consider that a missed approach immediately and continue to go around. Anyway, I'm back on the glide slope now. I want to follow the glide slope down and keep the localizer centered as well, using small changes in rudder, small changes in pitch. Power is very important as well. Mostly power will control your sink rate, thus your glide slope. Slight rudder and aileron movements will change the position of the localizer in relation to you. Mostly rudder will help out. Slew yourself side to side slightly. Not enough to make the passenger sick, but get the point now. We want to watch our radio altitude as we approach 200 feet. That would be minimums ILS. And at 200 feet, if we're not out of the clouds, we go around. We have to have the approach lights in sight or the runway in sight for us to be able to land. 2 miles out. Could be a pretty low approach. I'll keep flaps at 20 for a go-around possibility. And realize the runway's wet, so braking is going to be fairly ineffective, so we'll use full reverse thrust, obviously. And the best braking we can give it. Getting the localizer beam coming in now just a bit here, and going to keep our seek rate probably around 1,000 feet a minute to 600 feet a minute. Yeah, I do have the runway in sight. We're just at minimums. Continue inbound for our landing now. Bumpy. Full forward reverse. And we're going to hit the brakes. 100 knots. 80 knots. Through 60. Lock them up. Lock the brakes up. Woo! We made it. Just barely. You can see how tricky an ILS approach can be, even on a long runway. Given all that IFR weather and your intense concentration, you realize you're going to lose up a lot of runway awful fast. Coming up on that runway there is a little bit disconcerting at the last minute. You have to transition yourself from an IFR approach completely to visual landing. And that can be rather tricky at times. Takes a lot of skill and a lot of hours of practice, and mastering the ILS approach can take quite a while. Well, we're down safely here, and we'll clear the active runway, so I'm just going to turn off here. And we'll taxi ourselves inbound. And we'll just come to a stop here. Thanks for flying with us today. We certainly hope you enjoyed your pretty exciting ILS approach there in a brief emergency. The engine failure is quite unknown. It probably was likely due to some heavy rain or perhaps a little bit of ice ingestion, as the de-icers did their job. Anyways, we're down safely, and that was a pretty good precise ILS there, 2 minimums. And certainly hope you can practice that, start out first in one of the lighter aircraft and build your way up to the jet.